Okay, everybody, what is up? Good morning. Happy Thursday. Hope you guys are doing well. We got one more game, guys. We got one more game to get through, and then things start counting. Tomorrow evening, a day and about 8 hours away, we got the Chiefs. We're going to Kansas City, and we're going to get through it, and then suddenly we're here. So let's talk a little bit about what we want to see tomorrow because we already know some of the things that we're not going to see, right? This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. First, though, I want to remind everybody that I will be streaming with Brandon of the Hawk's Nest in just a few hours here. Going to start sometime around noon. We're going to talk a little bit about the Titans game we just played. Going to talk about some of the other topics going on, Hard Knocks, the Koshla, excuse me, the Koshlas, this upcoming Chiefs game. So tune in, and if you can't catch it live, catch the VOD. But yeah, let's get into this one a little bit because we've already basically been told we're not going to get to see any starters. It's already a reasonable assumption to make that you're not going to see any starters unless injuries make it such that a guy like Noah Igbenogany is a starter for week 1. Or maybe we start in a 2 tight end formation with Elijah Arroyo on the field. Short of something like that, we're not really playing any starters. And in some cases, it seems like we're not even playing the backups that we're already feeling really good about. So the Seahawks are using this preseason as an opportunity to look at their depth and to test the back of their bench, and not much more than that. So we're not going to get to see Jadarian Price, which would be a big one that I think a lot of people would like to see for a little bit. Not going to see Darnold or JSN or Leonard Williams or Murphy. No reason to believe we're going to go to any of that. Witherspoon, DeMarcus Lawrence, etc., etc. So that's already all off the table. And I think there were probably a few other things of note off the table, like probably not going to see Julian Neal because I don't think he's ready. Emmanuel Wilson seems like he's still out, so we're working through some stuff. But let's try to focus on what could be seen out there. So number one, and I think this is going to be one of the big hot topics for the Seahawks fans over the next day and a half. Let's see as much of Milroe as possible at quarterback. Drew Lock played well last week, did his thing. Seems like he is in backup QB form. Seems like he's ready to go. Don't need to see that anymore necessarily. And this could be Jalen Milroe's last stand in Seattle. I think that you look at the timeline, you look at the way things slot together. I feel like there's a realistic possibility that if Milroe doesn't start turning some heads positively in this upcoming game, it causes a little bit of a chain reaction that sees to it that he doesn't really get another opportunity with another offseason with this squad because we've moved on. So give Milroe the whole game. Hasn't put up any points yet when he's been in the game this preseason. So maximum opportunities. Admittedly, it does run the risk of making this game very unappealing because there is some element here where we'd like to have a little bit of fun watching the game, and it's been hard to have fun with Milroe out there, but I think that you do got to go with it. And if the game ends up being a miserable slog, then, well, I think that tells you something, right? All right, guys, let's take a quick break here to talk a little bit about Prize Picks, currently the #1 sports pick app in America. The app is very easy to use. Check it out to my left here. You can do player picks, where you just pick more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineup. Or you can pick teams, where you pick winners, spread, or total on any game or fight. The app is available in most states, including California, Texas, and Florida. Right now, they have a great offer. You can play your first $5 lineup and get $150 in lineups if you win. All you have to do is use code HMA when you sign up. It's a brand new offer. Best time possible to get on the app. So get on over there and get to winning that first lineup. So remember, Prize Picks, code HMA. Download the app today and remember to always gamble responsibly. So, yeah, I would say that just let Milroe have the game and see what he can do. If you want to give Locke a drive or something, then that's one thing, but we know what we got there. We have a pretty strong idea of what's going on there, and that should be sufficient for the role that we have for him. Jacardia Wright, another guy I'd like to see, because at this point, you have to wonder if he's going to start the season on the roster, because we haven't heard anything from Emmanuel Wilson in a couple weeks, and it seems like he's not going to play tomorrow. So that'll be the entire preseason without him, and it's not that hard to get left behind in that scenario. So that would be my next one. Jacardia Wright, unique opportunity. And of course, some of the stuff on the back end of receiver and offensive line. That's going to be important here because got some stuff to settle. I think Foster is safe, but that last receiver spot is still open. Cody White, I think, had the advantage, but I think the preseason has cost him the advantage. So you're probably looking at Emmanuel Henderson Jr., or we just carry the 5 receivers at this point, and this game could help settle that. Like maybe Cody White gets it together, and then you've got a little bit of a tougher decision to make. Maybe somebody like Irv Charles makes some plays on special teams, and suddenly you're thinking, hey, maybe we can get the asset that we traded for a couple months ago after all. So there's a few different ways this can go, and the offensive line is mostly Cable Do versus Haynes to me. Like, I'm pretty sure that everyone else, it's pretty understood who's going to make the team, unless maybe Logan Brown creeps onto it. But I would definitely be interested to watch a little bit of Christian Haynes versus Bryce Cable Do play out, because there's reasons why and why not for both. And to my mind, overall this preseason, you've seen a similar level of play from both players. Now, Haynes is the guy with the actual investment because we used a 3rd-round pick on him. But at a certain point, you do kind of not think about that stuff so much. So if that happens, what are we going to what are we going to do there? What's the decision? And defensively, I would like to see some of these back end nose tackles step up a little bit, just as not so much for them, because I understand that we very unlikely we carry that many nose tackles anyway. It's not particularly impactful. But I'd almost like to just see it for the sake of this defensive coaching staff and Mike McDonald, and just showing what they can do to these players that are unmolded lumps of clay. So if we could see somebody like a Suamalo or a Bubba Smith, or even J.R. Singleton, and J.R. Singleton has not made plays this preseason, but I don't know how good he's been, by the way, just to point that out there. I think that you could stand to see some improvement in how those guys play the run, because they're probably going to be playing a lot of this game anyway, so we may as well have something to root for. So that'll be fun. Some of the cornerback stuff's a little bit interesting, but it feels like pretty much everything's already been settled, except maybe one of the 7th-round rookies makes it. That's probably what they're fighting for. If there is that one spot open, it's possible the team decides to just go with all veterans back there, but other than Neal, I mean. But Fuller and Dansby, maybe there's one roster spot between the two of those guys that they can fight over. So we got a little something going on there, because I don't think it's clear cut at the moment. It would be nice to see Myers make his kicks as long as he's out there. I understand that for some people the logic is he's getting his misses out of the way now. And maybe he is. Maybe he is just getting all of his crap out of the way so he's ready to ball out in the regular season. But personally, I'd feel a little bit better if he was showing improvement in his form. So we can root for that. And maybe that's it. Chaz Surratt could be competing with Pat O'Connell for a roster spot. So if O'Connell doesn't play, then Surratt just has a free runway to show that he deserves it more. And I can't think of too much else other than that I want to see this team stay healthy. That's the big one right now, right? Because we've already been through it a little bit over the last week plus with the Bobo, the Bud Clark, Mason Richmond, stacked on top of the Robbie Oots thing. So we want to see no injuries. That'd be nice. I know we're not going to get to see Ken Walker, by the way. I know some people were excited for that, but my understanding is that Ken Walker is sitting this game out, so don't expect to see him on the field. Maybe assuming that Aiden Dirty gets a chance to call some plays, maybe if that goes well, that would be nice because again, he is getting to the point now where he's going to be one of the hottest commodities in coaching next year. So I don't think there's much that can be done to prevent that. So if he shows that he is improving in that area, then, that's something I can root for as somebody that's helped us win a Super Bowl, even if it means that he ends up departing this team because he's moving on to bigger roles on other teams. So I'm down with that. And there's not really too much else I can get into there. Again, some of our top rookies are not going to be playing. Clark and I assume Julian Neal. So can't really get into anything there. I think Bo Stevens has no chance of taking the starting job at this point. So, I mean, you can root for him to look good naturally while he's out there, but I don't think there are any stakes there anymore. So let's just get this one done tomorrow evening, and let's get to games that count. So go get her done. Go get a win if you want to. I understand that better to win than lose, but few things more important. I might rather lose ugly with Milrow than see what I already know about Drew Lock. Okay. Can't really think of too much else, so I'm going to get out of here. Again, going to be live in a few hours with Brandon. Stay tuned over there. My channel, his channel, it's all the same. And go Hawks.